My wife and I have always dreamed of celebrating our 40th anniversary with a luxurious vacation. Just the two of us, reliving the romance of our early years. We had it all planned out for years and were excited beyond words. Enter our adult daughter Jane. Jane and her husband got wind of our plans and promptly invited themselves and their two children, tween female, kindergarten male, along. I originally put my foot down and told them this trip was just for us, which upset her. But my wife has a hard time saying no to Jane, as she's the youngest of our children and our only daughter, and she didn't want to hurt her feelings, so she reluctantly agreed to let them join. I wasn't thrilled about it at the time, but I wanted to make my family happy, and I knew my wife was also okay with the idea of a family trip. Even if she was heartbroken that we wouldn't get our romantic trip, we went along with it. The place we were initially going to was not child-friendly, so we changed course and decided on an all-inclusive, family-friendly resort. We paid for the resort and our grandchildren's plane tickets. Jane and her husband only had to pay for their airfare. Here's where things get complicated. As the vacation got closer, I started having a change of heart. I realized that our 40th anniversary was a once-in-a-lifetime milestone, and I wanted to honor it in a way that was true to our original plans. My wife and I might not be able to afford a trip like this again for quite some time, and it's something we always wanted to do. So, without consulting anyone, I switched our tickets at the last minute to go to the romantic destination that my wife and I had initially planned for. I didn't tell Jane or her husband. I didn't even tell my wife until the day before our flight left, the day before Jane's flight left for their vacation. It wasn't an easy decision, and I feel guilty about it, but I wanted our 40th anniversary to be the special, intimate celebration we'd always hoped for. We called Jane after we landed to tell her, and she was extremely upset. She seemed to have the idea that we could look after our grandkids so she and her husband could have alone time, and now that I abandoned her, they would have to do it all themselves. I hung up on them when my son-in-law started shouting, and my wife and I enjoyed the rest of our trip. They came back the same day we did, but didn't answer any of our texts, and Jane seemed to be ignoring me. My wife told me she vastly preferred our trip to the family trip we would have taken, but she still doesn't like how Jane is mad at us and wants me to apologize. After learning Jane and her husband were using us for free babysitting and a free trip, I'm not sure I want to, but I feel like I should just keep the peace. Am I the idiot for changing our destination at the last minute and leaving Jane and her family to fend for themselves? Not the idiot. What part of the 40th anniversary trip did your daughter and son-in-law not understand? Oh, boo freaking who. Do not feel guilty, OP. Not even for a second. You and your wife have done the parenting of your kids, and now it's time to start enjoying life as a couple again. Your daughter needs a swift kick of reality right in the tuchus. She dared to invite her family to your romantic weekend to secure babysitters so she could enjoy herself without any thought for her parents. The entitlement is mind-boggling. LOL, we all knew the moment she invited herself she expected the grandparents to babysit while she and hubby enjoyed the trip. OP did right. Jane and son-in-law can go pound sand. If people don't want a parent, then they shouldn't become parents. Or you, OP, if I'm reading this right, you paid for their all-inclusive holiday accommodation and flights for the kids. The daughter and son-in-law only paid for the 2 adult flights, and they're still not happy? And how ironic that they're mad that they didn't get a romantic break alone when they literally attempted to sabotage that for you. You are the idiot. You raised an entitled brat. And rather than put your foot down and set boundaries, you kinda took the crap way out of not telling anyone until it was too late for anyone to do anything about it. It would not have been an idiot thing just to tell the daughter, no, this is our anniversary trip, and not let them tag along, but acquiescing and then pulling a bait and switch at the last moment is an idiot move. I have 2 sisters. I'm 23, they're 28, Beck, and 29, Ada. Both have kids, I don't. We planned to do a family day at a local lake yesterday. Ada's father-in-law got sepsis, so she had to fly out and ask me to take her 2 kids to the lake. I said sure. Edit, I'm also staying at her house until she gets home. I wasn't just taking them to the lake. I thought it would be okay, even though I have a massive fear of open water, or sharks specifically. It came from when we went to California as kids. I loved the ocean. Then, however, the brain starts working. I had massive nightmares about being grabbed by sharks, and I never really swam again. I can go in pools as long as I can touch and see the bottom, but a lake, pond, pool at night, etc. will leave me with a pure panic attack. We got to the lake yesterday and I started freaking out in my head. I was okay on the outside, but on the inside, all I could envision was some sort of shark grabbing my niece and nephew, and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So I didn't let them swim. They cried, of course, and Beck said I was being ridiculous. I said I know, but I can't help it. She called Ada, and she told me to let them go in the water, that Beck would be responsible for them. I agreed. But as soon as they even dipped their toes in, I freaked out and told them no, they had to stay on the beach. Beck screamed at me that she's just as related to the kids as I am and she's overruling me. I grabbed both kids and loaded them in the car and we left. We went to see the Taylor Swift movie and had a great time and they were happy. I came out of the movie to about 200 missed angry calls and texts for Ada and Beck about not knowing where I was, me not telling them where I was going while acting so irrationally, etc. I guess about an hour in, they remembered that Check Find Me app and saw we were at a movie, so that calmed down, but Ada wrote me a new one when I finally called her back and made me feel like such an idiot. I tried to defend myself, but she literally told me, "There's no defense for what you did today, you will never watch my kids again." Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Dude, lakes don't have sharks. You don't mention how old the kids are, but both of their mothers said it was okay for them to swim in the lake. You wigged out and didn't tell the mothers where you were going, hence the missed calls and texts. Exactly, it's not about the swimming thing, it's about you taking your nibbling somewhere else for hours without notifying their parents. There was another adult there that you could have left the kids with, but instead, you ran off with them without a word. Of course you're not going to be allowed to babysit again. You have a big trauma if you're scared a shark would grab your nephew and nieces in a lake. Besides, if you're so afraid of big bodies of water, why would you agree to take the kids to the lake? That was incredibly poor planning on your part, and once you realised you were freaking out, why didn't you ask Beck to watch over the kids while you went to take a breather? Why, once Ada told you that she was responsible for watching the kids over to your other sister, did you think it was appropriate to kidnap them instead of leaving them to enjoy their day? I'd be like your sisters here and never trust you again with my kids. My husband and I had a baby 2 weeks ago. She's strictly breastfed, and not only does she cluster feed, but she also just finds comfort in being close to me. Therefore, there's not much I can do without her. More often than not, I'm completely okay with that. But this does mean that I don't get to shower by myself. I've showered once by myself since having her, and it only lasted long enough for me to soap up before she cried and my husband brought her into me. I think I literally had all of 2 or 3 minutes. With that said, my husband, of course, hasn't had to change his life around at all. Every day and nearly every night, he's taking 30 to 60-minute uninterrupted showers. He doesn't understand the frustration I get whenever he showers. That's the only thing that bothers me. I want to shower. I want to sit under the water and relax my muscles. But as I said, every time I attempt it, the baby starts crying and he brings her into the shower with me instead of trying to calm her down. He says it's because he knows that showers calm her down and he doesn't like her crying. He feels bad, like it nearly makes him cry whenever she does. So I get his thought process, but it feels like a cop-out at the same time. So I called my mom and asked her to watch the baby so I could shower and shave my legs, because I've literally been attempting to shave my legs for 5 days now, and it's all patchy because I keep having the baby handed off to me. I need to self-care. My husband was home when I asked my mom to come by. I didn't tell him. She shows up and takes the baby and I go to shower. My husband comes in at some point and asks why my mom is here, and I tell him I asked her to come by so I could shower without the baby being handed off to me. He said, "I could have watched her, why would you do that?" So I said, "Every time you watch her while I shower, she ends up in here with me within 2 minutes of me being in here because you don't even try to calm her down." Now he thinks I'm an idiot because I never told him to keep the baby out of the shower, despite me specifically saying I wanted to relax and self-care multiple times. Am I the idiot? He says I've now made him look bad to my mom. Not the idiot. Husband wasn't being thoughtful. You found a way around it. And now, even knowing how hard it's been for you, he's still not actually concerned about you. He's just worried about how he looks to your mum, which makes him an even bigger idiot. Is it possible to lock the bathroom door when you take a shower for the times your mom can't come over? If, according to hubby, showers calm the baby down, why isn't he taking her on his 30 to 60-minute showers? Per his logic, that would be super calming for her. I've noticed that some moms stop their husbands from learning because they take it as the first sign of trouble. It doesn't sound like you're doing this, but I mention it because it's a common pattern. Dad is holding a crying baby, and within 30 seconds Mom takes it away from him saying, "Here, let me do that." "Honey, listen, you take your showers, okay? The baby will be fine. She can cry for a few minutes and still be alright. She's not going anywhere, and no emergency in a healthy and well-tended baby's life can't wait 5 minutes for you to wash your hair. I promise. And in the meantime, your husband will have some bonding time, which it sounds like he needs. While I'm at it, you also eat your meals, go to the toilet, and put her down if your arms are tired. She'll be fine." I, 28 female, live about a 3-hour drive from my hometown. My brother, I'll call him George, 25, was disabled, mentally and physically challenged. My parents prioritized him and ignored me for my entire life. For instance, in addition to the fact that they were never there for me emotionally, they also missed countless softball games, parent-teacher meetings, concerts where I'd be playing my cello with an orchestra, and even my high school graduation. Almost all of it was because George had a complication and needed to be taken to the hospital. I left home for college and never came back. They would only ask me to return on special occasions like Christmas or my birthday, but I never returned. So we have an almost non-existent relationship. They know almost nothing about my life. George passed away 3 days ago. My parents have been calling me asking me to come to his funeral and be there for my brother and family. They also asked me to visit when they learned he was critically ill. Then, and now, I said I wouldn't make it and told them to go on without me. My mother told me she was disappointed in me and said I was making a huge mistake and disrespecting my brother's memory. My girlfriend, 27, also said I may be acting too emotionally and that I may feel better after the funeral and having closure. Am I the idiot if I skip this funeral altogether? You are not the idiot if you don't go to the funeral, but I agree with your girlfriend, you may feel better if you do. And you should be able to schedule it so that you arrive for the funeral, go to the ceremony, and have a plan to leave. Not with any drama, but just, "Sorry, gotta work tomorrow, goodbye," departure. In fact, if you can, make a plan so that if you have to, you can leave at any time. This isn't about your parents. This is about you. I disagree. The relationship with the parents is burnt, but this ship has sailed ages ago. No need to get yourself guilt-tripped by the parents who neglected you for years. Don't go. These people are strangers. It's going to be a waste of time. This notion that one needs to go to funerals for closure is utter BS. Well, I think you should go. Your parents screwed up. They should have figured out how to divide their attention appropriately. You had a crappy childhood and it wasn't your fault on any level. But it is also not George's fault. He couldn't help that he was mentally and physically disabled and required frequent hospitalizations. What a crappy hand to be dealt in life, right? It's not his fault either on any level. He didn't want that for himself. You are just two blameless innocents in this story. So yeah, screw your parents. But honouring George and separating him from the actual bad actors in your mind isn't a bad idea. You may want to pay your respects to him regardless of your parents' wishes. She can pay her respects without going to the funeral. She can visit his grave or do something meaningful in his honour on her own time without dealing with her parents' pressure and expectations. Funerals aren't about honouring the dead. Funerals are about helping the living grieve. I haven't ever found closure in going to a funeral personally. Opie doesn't seem to need help grieving, nor does she care about helping her parents grieve, so there's no real reason to be there. Opie, tell them you're giving a cello concert that day. Parents shouldn't be expecting you to provide emotional support now. I, 35 male, and my girlfriend, 32, argued a few weeks ago regarding the division of labour in our home. She felt that she took on most of the mental load and housework and was frustrated. I disagreed and we talked at length about it, during which time she suggested that I'd frequently weaponized incompetence to avoid doing some tasks. I responded that there's a difference between weaponized incompetence and leaving difficult or tedious tasks to the person who's more efficient. As an example, I mentioned home repairs. I'm not particularly handy, soft hands, I work in tech, but I can change a pipe or patch some drywall with some degree of efficiency and will learn anything I don't know how to do if it seems like I can handle after weighing the time and cost against hiring a pro. On the other hand, my girlfriend is not confident enough in her skills to handle anything like this. She freely admits it and leaves all such tasks to me. So I asked her if that was weaponized incompetence as well. She's never taken the initiative to handle any home repair task and rarely takes on anything that requires a tool, even as simple as tightening the handles on our cookware. To be clear, I didn't mind this arrangement and I told her as such, but it made her pretty angry and she said that I was being a jerk, holding it over her head, etc. I told her that she was upset because I pointed out her hypocrisy, and as you probably guessed, she got more upset. She still hasn't let it go. I can see how turning the argument against her at the moment is aggressive and maybe even antagonistic, but I don't think I did it in an unproductive way. I think she was expecting the conversation to go very differently and was taken aback. Am I the idiot? How often do you need to fix drywall or repair a pipe? Doing the laundry is not analogous to patching drywall. I bet the stuff you don't want to do is stuff that needs doing every day. You are the idiot. It's convenient for you to be competent at jobs that only come up once or twice a year than something you have to do weekly or daily. That's what she was trying to put into words. Maybe you are not ready for an adult relationship. Also, you are the idiot because you're claiming it's better to give the more tedious tasks to someone more efficient is BS and you know it. You'd rather not do that tedious task, so suddenly you think calling her more efficient makes it better. The definition of weaponized incompetence. Dude, you're lucky your woman isn't quick on her feet because if you said that to me, I'd have kicked you out.